Welcome to Cybersecurity HQ's Daily News Report for December 11th, 2024.
Let's jump right in.
Today, we're diving deep into the latest vulnerabilities,
Sounds good.
breaches, and emerging threats.
Okay, so starting off with a hardware vulnerability.
Yeah.
We've got this BadRAM attack targeting AMD's SEV-SNP.
Right, and what's striking about this one
Yeah.
is the simplicity of the tools used in the attack.
Yeah, they were able to pull it off using equipment costing around, like, what?
About $10?
$10,
Yeah.
which is pretty concerning considering the potential impact.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
They manipulated the memory module's SPD chips to create aliasing in physical address spaces,
Right.
essentially bypassing the security guarantees of SEV-SNP.
So an attacker could potentially tamper with or even replay encrypted data.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is obviously a significant security breach.
Huge.
So it seems like even with hardware-level security measures in place,
Right.
like SEV-SNP, there's still a way to exploit vulnerabilities.
Using, readily available tools.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a big concern.
It underscores, I think, the importance of physical security and timely firmware updates.
Yeah.
AMD has released mitigations for this attack.
Okay, good.
But it's a good reminder that we need to stay vigilant.
Absolutely.
In terms of software vulnerabilities.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We've got Google Chrome, Atlassian, Splunk, Microsoft. They've all released critical patches.
So, starting with Google Chrome,
Yeah,
they addressed 3 high-severity vulnerabilities, right?
that's right.
Including one in the V8 JavaScript engine that earned a $55,000 bounty.
It seems like Patch Tuesday comes earlier every month,
Yeah, it does.
doesn't it?
It does. Okay, so what made this vulnerability so critical?
So this particular flaw was a type confusion issue.
Okay.
And if it were to be exploited, it could allow for remote code execution,
Oh, wow.
essentially giving an attacker control over the system.
So that's a big one.
Big one.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a good reminder that even widely used software like Chrome
Right.
can have these serious security flaws, and updates are crucial.
Now, Atlassian issued patches for dependency flaws.
Yes.
Affecting Bamboo, Bitbucket, and Confluence.
Right.
All very widely used.
Ubiquitous in enterprise environments.
Absolutely.
And these vulnerabilities could allow an attacker to escalate privileges
right.
or execute arbitrary code.
So even seemingly minor dependency issues can have serious security implications.
Definitely.
All right, and what about Splunk?
So Splunk also addressed a critical deserialization vulnerability in its secure gateway app.
And this one?
This one could enable remote code execution on affected systems.
Okay, and given how widely Splunk is used for security monitoring,
Right.
a compromise could be disastrous.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we have Microsoft releasing a ton of patches.
Whopping 70 patches.
Wow, 70 patches.
Including one for a 0-day that's actively being exploited.
And this 0-day, tracked as CVE 2024-49138, resides in the Windows Common Log File System.
That's right, CLFS.
Right, CLFS, and it allows attackers to gain system privileges.
Giving them complete control over the machine.
That sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, it affects every single Windows edition.
Oh, wow.
From Server 2008 all the way up to the latest versions.
So the potential attack surface is
huge.
Yeah.
And what's concerning is this isn't the first CLFS vulnerability we've seen.
Right.
There have been over 25 documented CLFS vulnerabilities in the past 5 years.
Wow.
Which points to a potential systemic issue with this component.
So it highlights the importance of prioritizing patching for these core Windows components.
Absolutely.
And it seems like Adobe is also on the patching bandwagon this month, addressing over 160 vulnerabilities.
That's right, across 16 products.
Wow, 16 products.
That's just a reminder of the sheer volume of security flaws that exist out there.
Absolutely.
And
what about Ivanti?
Ivanti is patching critical flaws, including an authentication bypass in its cloud services application.
So this one could lead to...
This one could lead to remote code execution.
Okay.
Giving attackers the ability to compromise enterprise systems.
And this underscores the importance of securing not just individual applications, but also these interconnected cloud services.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
It's all connected.
It's all connected these days.
Yep.
And SAP also joined the party with his December patch day, right?
Right.
Addressing several vulnerabilities, including a critical one in NetWeaver AS for JBA.
Yeah, SAP software is a cornerstone of so many enterprise systems.
Right.
And this particular vulnerability could allow for remote code execution.
So organizations using SAP solutions
Right.
need to prioritize patching.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so busy month for patching across the board.
Busy, busy month.
It seems like every vendor is scrambling to address these critical vulnerabilities.
Yeah, this constant stream of patches also highlights a bigger challenge.
And what's that?
The sheer volume of patches can be overwhelming for security teams.
I can imagine.
Right. It's not just about applying the patches, it's about testing them, making sure they're compatible,
Right.
and minimizing disruption to business operations.
Yeah, so this is where robust vulnerability management practices come into play.
Absolutely.
And automation.
Automation is key.
Definitely.
You got to automate what you can.
So organizations really need to step up their game when it comes to vulnerability management.
A proactive approach is crucial.
Proactive, yeah.
Organizations need to prioritize patching, but they also need systems in place to identify and remediate vulnerabilities before they can even be exploited.
Absolutely.
So this includes things like regular vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, threat intelligence monitoring.
So, staying on the topic of Microsoft, they've finally taken steps to mitigate NTLM relay attacks.
Right.
In Exchange Server and Windows Server.
That's right. They've introduced extended protection for authentication, or EPA, as a default setting.
EPA.
So this is a positive step that helps to mitigate risks.
So it's a good thing.
It's a step in the right direction, but it's important to remember that legacy protocols like NTLM remain a security challenge.
Okay.
So the most effective long-term solution is to move away from NTLM entirely and embrace more secure authentication protocols.
Speaking of authentication, Snowflake is mandating multi-factor authentication by late 2025.
Yep, that's a significant move, especially considering the number of attacks we're seeing targeting weak credentials.
So this sets a good precedent for other cloud providers to follow. Right?
It does,
Yeah.
and it highlights the importance of strong authentication.
Absolutely. Multi-factor authentication is no longer optional.
Not optional.
Yeah.
It's a must-have.
It's a must-have in today's threat landscape.
Absolutely.
Now, let's turn our attention to some of the threats that are making headlines.
Sure.
Zloader malware has apparently added some new tricks to its arsenal.
Yeah, so Zloader now features DNS tunneling, which allows it to bypass traditional security measures.
So it's flying under the radar.
Exactly, and an interactive shell,
Okay.
giving attackers greater control over those compromised systems.
So those are some pretty significant enhancements.
Significant enhancements, yeah. They make Zloader even more formidable,
Yeah.
particularly its role in facilitating ransomware attacks.
So how does the DNS tunneling help them do that?
So by using DNS tunneling, Zloader can exfiltrate data and communicate with its command and control servers without being detected by those traditional security tools.
And the interactive shell provides.
The interactive shell provides a backdoor
Okay.
into the compromised systems, allowing them to execute commands, upload malware, and move laterally within a network.
So this is definitely something that security teams need to be aware of.
Absolutely. Organizations need to make sure that their security solutions can detect and block DNS tunneling traffic.
Okay.
They also need to implement strong endpoint detection and response capabilities to identify and mitigate Zloader infections.
All right, now let's move on to some of the major data breaches and cyber attacks that have occurred recently.
Right.
Starting with the Center for Vein Restoration.
Yep.
They suffered a significant data breach.
Yeah, this breach impacted over 446,000 individuals.
Wow.
Exposing sensitive personal, medical, and financial data.
So another reminder of the ongoing vulnerabilities in healthcare systems.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Healthcare remains a prime target for cyber criminals.
Prime target.
And this breach really underscores the need for robust cybersecurity practices.
Absolutely.
To protect patient data.
Very sensitive data.
Yeah.
Very sensitive.
Next, we have the Termite ransomware group exploiting a vulnerability in Cleo's enterprise file transfer tools.
Right. This attack compromised over 1,700 servers.
Wow.
Really demonstrating the challenges of securing these file transfer systems.
Right, and file transfer systems are often overlooked from a security perspective.
Often overlooked.
Right.
They handle large volumes of sensitive data and can be a weak link in an organization's security posture.
So what can organizations do to better protect their file transfer systems?
Secure them with strong authentication, access controls, and encryption to prevent that unauthorized access and data exfiltration.
Okay, and in a case highlighting the geopolitical tensions in cyberspace,
Yeah.
the U.S. has charged and sanctioned a Chinese national for hacking Sophos firewalls.
Right. So this attack exploited a zero-day vulnerability,
Okay.
and it compromised over 81,000 firewalls globally, including those used by U.S. government agencies.
Wow.
So it's a stark reminder of the ongoing threat of state-sponsored cyber activity.
Absolutely. Nation-states are increasingly using cyber attacks to achieve their objectives.
Their political and economic objectives.
Right. And this incident highlights the need for heightened vigilance and strong cybersecurity defenses
Absolutely.
to protect critical infrastructure and sensitive data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up, the DeFi world was hit with a $50 million heist from Radiant Capital.
That's right. This attack was attributed to the North Korean hacking group UNC 4736.
So this highlights the growing threat to decentralized finance platforms.
Yeah, DeFi is still a relatively new space, and security is often playing catch-up.
Right. And as DeFi platforms grow in popularity and handle larger sums of money,
Right.
they become increasingly attractive targets for cybercriminals.
They do.
So it's crucial for DeFi developers to prioritize security
Absolutely.
and implement robust measures to protect user funds.
For sure.
All right, finally, we have a seemingly minor cyber attack
Right.
that managed to disrupt Krispy Kreme's online ordering systems.
This incident, while not as financially damaging as some of the others,
Right.
really demonstrates that even seemingly minor cyber attacks can have a significant business impact.
It's a reminder that no organization is immune to cyber attacks,
No one is immune.
and every organization needs a plan in place to respond to and recover from cyber incidents.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we move on to emerging trends and innovations,
Oh.
there's a couple more developments in the software vulnerability space to cover.
All right, sounds good.
Cisco Talos has disclosed unpatched vulnerabilities in MC Technologies routers and the GoCast BGP tool.
Okay.
And these vulnerabilities were reported 8 months ago,
8 months ago, that's right.
and they're still unpatched.
Still unpatched.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what makes this particularly concerning is the potential impact, right?
potential impact.
Because these routers and BGP tools are often used in industrial control systems.
Yeah, I think power grids, water treatment plants, manufacturing facilities.
So a successful attack could disrupt vital services.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so technically speaking, what's the issue here?
So the MCLR router's web interface has 4 high-severity vulnerabilities that could allow an attacker to inject arbitrary commands.
Okay.
But here's the thing. They only need authentication.
Not even high-level privileges.
Nope, not even high-level privileges.
Wow.
And GoCast, it's even worse. It has 3 critical issues that leave it wide open to exploitation.
And they don't even need to authenticate.
They don't even need to authenticate.
Okay, so
Yeah.
an attacker could potentially gain control of these devices and cause some serious damage.
Yeah. And the fact that technical details are publicly available
Right.
and the vendors haven't responded after 8 months, it's a red flag.
So what can organizations do to protect themselves,
It's tough.
especially given the lack of patches?
Right. Minimizing exposure to the internet is a good start.
Right.
Strong network segmentation and using intrusion detection and prevention systems
Right.
can also help identify and block malicious activity.
And given that authentication is all that's needed for the router exploit,
Yep.
what can we do there?
Focusing on strong, unique passwords and multi-factor authentication for all users is absolutely critical.
Let's hope these vendors address these vulnerabilities sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later, hopefully.
Yeah. All right, on to slightly more positive news.
Okay.
Google has issued a critical Chrome update
All right.
addressing vulnerabilities in its V8 JavaScript engine and translate feature.
That's right. And while the details aren't publicly available yet, Google's prompt response shows their commitment to maintaining that browser security.
It highlights the importance of keeping your browser up to date.
Absolutely, not just for features, but for those security updates.
Okay, so Chrome users, make sure you've got the latest update.
Latest update, yep.
Now,
Yeah.
Microsoft has confirmed that a zero-day vulnerability in Windows is being actively exploited.
Yes, this is the one tracked as CVE 2024-49138.
Right, CVE 2024-49138.
And they're urging everyone to update.
Update now.
Update, update, update.
Now, this one exists in the common log file system driver.
Core component of Windows.
So if an attacker exploits this, what can they do?
They can gain system privileges.
So essentially, complete control over the machine.
Exactly.
What makes it so concerning is that it impacts every Windows edition.
All the way back to Server 2008, so even those running older systems
Oh, wow.
are at risk.
CISA has also urged immediate updates, so
Yep.
this is serious.
This is serious.
It has the potential to be incorporated into ransomware attacks.
Oh, yeah.
Given the widespread use of Windows,
Right.
the potential for widespread disruption is significant.
Absolutely.
Okay, so definitely something to take seriously.
Very seriously.
Before we move on, is there anything else we should cover in this segment?
Yeah, let's touch on the SEC's Cyber Incident Reporting Rule,
Okay, good point.
which has been in effect for about 11 months now.
So what are your thoughts on how it's working so far?
Well, the rule has resulted in 71 filings.
Okay,
But surprisingly, less than 20% of those provide detailed information about the impact.
so companies are relying on very generic disclosures.
Yeah, very generic, which kind of defeats the purpose of the rule.
Yeah, I agree. The goal was to increase transparency and improve incident response.
Exactly.
But if companies aren't providing specifics, it's hard to learn from these incidents and improve that cybersecurity posture.
Makes it hard for investors to assess the true risks associated with cyber incidents and hinders the development of those effective cybersecurity strategies.
So we need more transparency,
We need more transparency
not less.
if we want to make real progress in cybersecurity.
Let's hope the SEC takes steps to address these shortcomings
Fingers crossed.
and ensure the rule is achieving its intended goals.
For sure.
Okay, now let's shift our focus to the regulatory landscape.
Right.
Specifically, the potential for deregulation in the field of AI with the upcoming change in the U.S. administration in 2025.
Okay.
This is a topic that has generated a lot of discussion and debate.
It has?
What are your thoughts on the potential impact on cybersecurity?
Well, it's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
On the one hand, deregulation could lead to a surge in AI innovation, which could benefit cybersecurity.
Cool.
We could see more sophisticated AI-powered threat detection systems.
So that's a good thing.
That's the good side.
Right. What about the other side?
The concern is that deregulation could also weaken cyber defenses. We might see less stringent security standards and less oversight.
So less oversight, that could create new vulnerabilities.
Exactly. So it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
Between fostering innovation and maintaining security.
So what should organizations be doing to prepare for this potential shift in the regulatory landscape?
Stay informed about proposed policy changes
Okay.
and actively participate in discussions.
So be proactive.
Be proactive, yes, and prioritize those cybersecurity practices regardless of the regulatory environment.
Regardless.
Strong authentication, regular assessments, incident response planning, those proactive measures are key.
Okay, so speaking of proactive measures, the Netherlands is launching a national cybersecurity platform.
Right, it's called the Firm Foundation,
Firm Foundation.
and it focuses on protecting Dutch seaports.
So why seaports?
Well, they're vital to the country's economy
Okay,
and critical infrastructure.
makes sense.
Cyber attacks targeting seaports could disrupt global trade,
Yeah.
leading to significant economic losses.
So the stakes are pretty high.
They are.
So what's the goal of the Firm Foundation?
To prevent such attacks
Okay.
by promoting collaboration between ports, private companies, and government entities.
Collaboration, yeah.
Sharing threat intelligence, coordinating incident response efforts, and implementing best practices.
It's a model that other countries might want to emulate.
I think so.
Okay. And on a less optimistic note, Moody's is predicting higher credit risks in 2025 due to the rise of AI-powered ransomware attacks.
Yeah, so this prediction highlights that growing financial threat posed by cybercriminals
Right.
as they incorporate AI into their arsenal.
It's not just a technological problem.
It's an economic one as well.
It's an economic one, right?
The economic impact of cyber attacks is a growing concern for businesses, governments, individuals alike.
Yeah.
And Moody's prediction is a stark reminder that cybersecurity is not just an IT issue.
It's a business imperative
It's a business imperative.
that demands attention and investment.
Absolutely.
Okay, so before we move on to our final segment, is there anything else we should cover?
Yeah, one more crucial development in the cloud security space.
Okay.
Researchers uncovered a critical vulnerability in Azure's multi-factor authentication system, dubbed Authcrake.
And this is the one that potentially exposed millions of Office 365 accounts.
That's the one. Attackers could have exploited this vulnerability to bypass MFA protections.
and gain unauthorized access to sensitive data.
Yep. It's concerning because even though MFA is a strong security measure, it's not foolproof.
So what has Microsoft done to address this vulnerability?
Fortunately, they acted swiftly
Okay,
to mitigate the vulnerability and implemented permanent fixes.
that's good to hear.
Good example of responsible vulnerability disclosure and remediation.
So what are the key takeaways from this incident?
It underscores the importance of robust MFA implementations and continuous security assessments.
To identify and address those potential vulnerabilities.
Exactly. Organizations need to stay vigilant and proactive.
So vigilance, proactive measures, and a solid incident response plan are key.
Absolutely. In the world of cybersecurity, staying ahead of the curve is an ongoing challenge.
Right. But with the right approach, organizations can significantly reduce their risk.
Reduce their risk, absolutely.
Okay, now let's move on to our final segment, where we'll explore recent developments in emerging trends and innovations
Sounds good.
shaping the future of cybersecurity.
Let's dive in.
So let's delve into some of those emerging trends and innovations that are shaping the cybersecurity landscape.
Okay, sounds good.
And one area that's gaining a lot of attention is the focus on securing non-human identities.
Right. It's not just about protecting human users anymore. You know,
Right.
as organizations rely more on automation and cloud services, the number of API keys,
Right.
service accounts, and other machine identities just skyrocket.
Yeah, and each one becomes a potential entry point.
Exactly, exactly. And traditional security solutions often fall short in this area.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's why we're seeing companies like Asterisk Security, which recently raised $45 million in Series B funding, developing solutions to specifically manage and secure these non-human identities.
So it's like expanding the concept of identity and access management
Right.
to include these non-human entities.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not just about preventing unauthorized access either. It's also about ensuring that these machine identities are used appropriately.
Yeah.
And that any actions they take can be audited and traced back.
Makes sense. If an attacker compromises a machine identity, they could access sensitive data, disrupt operations, or even launch those larger scale attacks.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about another hot topic, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity.
Okay.
We've seen a surge in venture capital funding for AI cybersecurity startups, reaching $2.6 billion this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, so what's driving this trend?
Investors are betting big on AI's potential to transform cybersecurity.
Okay.
AI-powered solutions can analyze massive amounts of data, identify patterns and anomalies that would be invisible to humans, and automate those security tasks.
So it's all about leveraging AI to augment human capabilities.
Yes. Augment, not replace.
Right. Augment, not replace.
Exactly. So companies like Cyera and Abnormal Security are using AI for data protection,
Oh.
ransomware mitigation, and enhanced threat detection.
So we're seeing AI being applied across the entire cybersecurity spectrum.
Across the entire spectrum, from threat intelligence and vulnerability management to incident response and security operations.
Yeah, it sounds like a very exciting time to be in the cybersecurity field with all this innovation happening.
It is. It definitely is. But it also means that cybersecurity professionals need to stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies.
Absolutely, because the threat landscape is constantly evolving.
Constantly evolving.
Right, and we need to evolve with it.
We do.
All right, now let's shift our focus to a different kind of convergence, the intersection of cybersecurity and fintech. Gen Digital's acquisition of MoneyLion for $1 billion seems to indicate a growing trend in this area. What are your thoughts?
This acquisition highlights the importance of cybersecurity in that financial services sector.
Right, because fintech companies handle vast amounts of sensitive financial data.
Exactly. So those robust cybersecurity measures are paramount.
It's about protecting user privacy and preventing financial fraud.
Absolutely. So we're seeing this blending of these two sectors,
Right.
with cybersecurity becoming an integral part of fintech operations.
Yeah, and this trend is likely to continue as the lines between different industries continue to blur in the digital age.
Absolutely.
So organizations need to take a more holistic approach to cybersecurity, recognizing that risks can come from any part of their operations, including partnerships and acquisitions.
They can. And you can't just focus on securing your own systems anymore. You also need to consider the security posture of your partners, vendors, and any companies you acquire.
Right, makes sense. Okay, finally, let's talk about a sector that's becoming an increasingly prominent target for cyber attacks, agriculture.
Agriculture. Okay.
We've seen the USDA implementing advanced threat intelligence dashboards to protect critical agricultural infrastructure.
Interesting.
So why is this sector becoming such a focus for attackers?
Well, agriculture is undergoing this digital transformation.
Okay.
With increasing reliance on technology for everything from precision farming techniques to supply chain management.
Right.
Unfortunately, this has exposed the sector to these new cyber threats.
So it's not just about protecting data anymore, it's about protecting our food supply.
It is. Attackers targeting agricultural infrastructure could disrupt food production, distribution, and the supply chains.
Right, leading to those significant economic and social consequences.
Exactly.
So the USDA's initiative to implement these threat intelligence dashboards highlights the growing awareness of these threats.
Absolutely. It seems like no sector is immune to cyber attacks these days.
No sector is immune.
The threat landscape is constantly expanding.
Right.
Attackers are becoming more sophisticated and brazen.
Absolutely.
It's more important than ever for organizations to prioritize cybersecurity, invest in those robust security measures, and foster that culture of security awareness.
Well said. This has been an incredibly insightful discussion about the latest cybersecurity news and trends.
It has been.
Before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Cybersecurity is a dynamic field. It requires constant vigilance and adaptation.
Absolutely.
Organizations need to stay ahead of the curve by embracing new technologies, adopting those best practices, and collaborating with others to share information and resources.
Right. The threats may be evolving, but so are our defenses.
They are.
That's an encouraging thought.
It is encouraging.
And remember, for more in-depth reports, job postings, and our weekly newsletter read by over 70,000 cybersecurity professionals, visit Cybersecurity HQ.
Check it out.
Stay vigilant, stay informed, and as always, stay secure. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From hardware and software vulnerabilities
Mm-hmm.
to data breaches and these emerging threats.
Lots to unpack.
What stood out to you as particularly significant?
You know what's interesting to me is this convergence of trends we're seeing.
Okay.
Like the BadRAM attack.
Right, on AMD's SEV-SNP.
It's concerning, yeah, but it shows how security is never absolute.
Right, it's not a silver bullet.
It's not, and it highlights the need for those layered defenses.
Layered defenses, right?
Both physical and digital.
Physical and digital, yeah.
Yeah, because even with that hardware-level security,
Right.
there are always potential attack vectors, especially when attackers get creative.
Yeah, especially with those readily available tools.
Exactly. And it kind of connects to the rise of these AI-powered attacks.
Right, AI-powered attacks.
As AI becomes more accessible, I think we can expect attackers to leverage it even more.
To get even more creative and sophisticated.
For more sophisticated and evasive techniques.
Like we saw with this loader malware.
Exactly. It's like an arms race.
It is an arms race.
The good guys using AI to enhance defenses,
Right.
and the bad guys are using it to bypass them.
It's a constant back and forth.
It is, and that's why staying ahead of the curve is so crucial.
Right.
Organizations need to invest in continuous learning, threat intelligence,
Proactive security.
proactive security measures, yeah.
We also talked about the importance of securing those non-human identities, something that's often overlooked.
Often overlooked, but so important. As organizations embrace automation and cloud services,
Right.
that number of machine identities just explodes.
It explodes, and each one represents a potential vulnerability.
Exactly. It's, like you said, expanding the concept of identity and access management.
Right, to encompass
this whole new realm.
this whole new realm of digital entities.
It really is. And those traditional security solutions often fall short.
Yeah.
So it's encouraging to see companies like Security stepping up
Yeah, developing those specialized solutions.
to address these challenges.
The convergence of cybersecurity and fintech is another trend.
Oh, yeah. Big trend.
Worth noting.
Gen Digital's acquisition of MoneyLion for $1 billion.
For $1 billion.
It really shows that cybersecurity is becoming an integral part of financial services.
As fintech companies handle increasing amounts of sensitive data.
Right. Robust cybersecurity measures are essential.
Essential to protect user privacy.
Absolutely.
And prevent financial fraud.
Couldn't agree more. And this trend goes beyond fintech.
Beyond fintech. Yeah.
We're seeing cybersecurity becoming critical in every industry.
It's everywhere.
Healthcare, agriculture, manufacturing, transportation.
Yeah, so it's clear that cybersecurity is no longer just an IT issue.
No.
It's a business imperative.
A business imperative affecting every aspect of an organization.
So what can organizations do to navigate this increasingly complex cybersecurity landscape?
I think first and foremost,
Yeah.
make cybersecurity a top priority.
Top priority. Yeah.
Invest in the right technologies, implement robust security policies and procedures,
Right.
foster that culture of security awareness
Security awareness is huge.
among employees.
Yeah, it's not just about the technology.
It's not.
It's about the people.
It's about the people, the processes, and the technology.
It's also important to stay informed about the latest threats.
Absolutely. Threat intelligence is essential.
Threat intelligence is essential, yeah.
Understand that evolving threat landscape.
And adapt, right?
Adapt those defenses.
Adapt those defenses, yeah.
And don't forget about collaboration.
Collaboration, sharing information.
Right, sharing information and resources with other organizations, both within and across industries.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
There I are.
So it's a multifaceted challenge.
It is.
That requires a comprehensive approach.
Comprehensive for sure. Cybersecurity is a journey, not a destination.
It's a journey, not a destination.
An ongoing process of assessment, improvement, and adaptation.
Well said. This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive
It has.
into the latest cybersecurity news and trends.
Couldn't agree more.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
The threat landscape may be daunting, but it's not insurmountable.
We could do this.
We can. By staying vigilant, informed, and proactive, organizations can effectively mitigate those cybersecurity risks
Absolutely.
and protect their valuable assets.
And remember, for more in-depth reports, job postings, and our weekly newsletter, read by over 70,000 cybersecurity professionals, visit Cybersecurity HQ.
That's all right.
Stay vigilant, stay informed, and as always, stay secure.